Let's add some tests to our Hello World app. In Android, there are two kinds of tests: pure Java tests and instrumentation tests. Android is built on top of Java, but the Android framework provides a lot of extra functionalities. To test those extra functionalities, such as activities, you will need to write instrumentation tests. Because of the Android dependency, they need to be run on devices or emulators. As a result, they tend to be a little bit slower than pure Java tests. By pure Java tests, I mean tests that exercise the logic of your app that is written using only the standard Java functions. Because it has no Android dependency, we can run them on the JVM or Java Virtual Machine on your host computer. You do not need to deploy the app onto your device or emulator, and it is much faster. Our Hello World app does not have any pure Java logic at this moment, so we are going to write instrumentation tests. In particular, we will be writing Espresso test. Espresso is an Android testing framework written by Google. It has a fluent API that allows you to find views, perform actions on them, and then verify the state. Let's get started. To use Espresso, we need to make sure that we have the support library downloaded. Click on the little Android icon with the arrow here. Click on SDK Tools. You can see that we have the Android support library, so we are ready to go. If not, you should check the mark to download it. Next, we need to tell Android that we are going to be using this library. To do that, we will modify the build.gradle file under App. Add a new section called Dependencies. Inside there, we will add Android Test Compile. And then com.android.support.test.espresso /espresso-core 2.2.1. What does this mean? Android Test Compile means that our test will need this dependency. The string after it tells Android which exact dependency. It is from the group com.android.support.test.espresso and then the module espresso-core. 2.2.1 is the version number. We need to add one more thing. Inside the Android block, add test instrumentation runner. Then quote android.support.test.runner.android.junit quote. This is the instrumentation runner for Espresso. Finally, we'll need to change our min SDK version from 1 to 8. This is the minimum SDK version that we can use Espresso with. With that, you can click on the blue Sync Now link for Android to update its dependencies. Now that we have our dependencies set up, let's actually add a test. To do that, we will need to add a new folder called Android Test. Add it under the level Source under App. Inside that, add a Java folder. Notice that the icon is green. This means that Android Studio recognizes it as a test source folder. Now, go to Main Activity and select Navigate Test. Android Studio gives us a choice to create a new test. Let's choose that. Select JUnit 4 and click OK. We're going to put the test into the directory that we just created: app, source, Android test, Java, etc. To mark this as a test, we will use annotations. First, annotate the class with @runWith android.junit4.class. Next, we are going to add an Android test rule. With this rule, Espresso will automatically launch our activity before each test method. Right now we don't have any test methods yet, so let's add one. We make a test method by writing a method and then annotating it with test. Let's call it by. Finally, after we did all the scaffolding, we can actually write our test. We want to first verify that the text view with the ID greeting is displaying Hello World. To verify the initial value of our text view, we will use onView with ID to locate the view. We're telling Espresso that we want to find this view which has the ID greeting. Once the view is found, we can do some verification. Add .check matches with text r.string.hello_world. This tells Espresso to go ahead and verify that this view contains the text as defined in our strings.xml file. It is better to check the string this way rather than hard-coding the value hello world, because if we want to internationalize our app, this will automatically load the right string out of the proper resource folder. Let's run this test. Right-click on Main Activity Test and choose Create Main Activity Test. This lets us create a new run configuration. Click OK, and then click the green triangle to deploy. Android launches the app, verifies the text view, and then finishes the app. Because it is done by a computer, it is super fast. We know that the test passed because you can see it on the lower left corner. There's a green circle that says OK next to the word test result. Now that we know that we can run this test and it passed, let's add some more actions. After we verify the initial state, we're going to open the action bar menu so that we can click on Say Bye. To do that, use the function Open Action Bar Overflow or Options menu, which takes a context. We can get the context from the instrumentation registry. Get target context. This opens our menu. After that, we will click on the item that says Say Bye. On View, with text r.string.sayBye. Notice that I'm using the same with text when I was doing verification. We can use the same matcher in verification and in also locating the view. Once we found the view that says Say Bye, we are going to click on it. .perform, click. Afterwards, we are going to verify that the text view is changed to Say Bye. Copy and paste the first line when we are looking for the greeting, and then change the string to Bye. Let's deploy and take a look. Here we go. We ran the whole test and verified that everything works. Again, it is so fast that you can barely see the menu item expanding. This is the advantage of writing automated testing. The machine can run it faster than you and also exactly the same way every time. If you write tests along the way when you write your app, you can make sure that you don't have any regressions, meaning that as you add new functionalities, the old functionalities are not broken. In summary, there are two things you need to do to write Espresso tests. First, you need to add the Espresso dependency in your app/build.gradle file. Then, you need to add a test to the Android test/source/Java directory. In your test, tag the class with run with Android JUnit 4, and then use the activity test rule for Espresso to launch your activity for every single test method. To make a test method, use the tag test. Inside your test, you can ask Espresso to find a view and then perform actions on it or verify its state.